one day, my bishop called the daughter and said to the daughter that when he grow up, who do you want to marry in the future? And she said, I want to marry a prophet. I want to marry a prophet who has a big church, a prophet, who has cars like daddy, who has this like you, who is this and that, who has companies and business and big church. And the bishop said, why do you want to marry a prophet who has a big church and cars and money? He said, so that I can be enjoying life like the way mommy is enjoying life. And my bishop says that I want you to ask your mom that when she got married to me, how many cars do I have? How many houses do I have? How many church members did I have? I want you to ask your mom. I want you to ask your mom. Before you say, I want to marry a big man of God like daddy, who has big church like daddy, who have cars like daddy, who is very successful like daddy, ask your mother that the time we got married, she will tell you that I was living in a family house, that we took bus and taxi together, that sometimes we have no food to eat, that we started a church in uncompleted building, where sometimes we use bed sheet as a canopy when the sun is too hot. And today things turn around, that we have our own houses, our own cars, our own church branches and everything. And you see, most of time, the big miracles that people are expecting come in a very small way. And this is where many people keep missing their true miracle, because their expectation is so high than the major opportunity that God presented in a very small way. They end up missing it because that is not what they expect. So most of the time when I hear people say, I will never settle for less, I will never settle for less, most of these people will always miss the mega great things that God wants to do in their life in a very small way. I will never settle for less. I will never settle for less. I deserve nothing but the best. I deserve not. No, it is not wrong. It is good not to settle for less. It is good to deserve the best or to get the best. But most of the time, the things you expect, the great things you expect, the big things you expect can come to you in a very disguised way, in a very small way. The major doors you expect can present itself to you like a small window. Over expectation. And this is a story of a lady that I met. And I want to take some time. I'll be talking about financial over expectation, how over expectation affect your finances, how over expectation affect your business, how over expectation affect your marriage. And I will be talking tip in all these areas to help everybody who is watching me live. This lady, there were 3 daughters from the same parent, and the youngest married to a medical doctor who have his own big hospital, and they were happily married. And the second born is married to a politician who is a member of a parliament and also have his own microfinance, a big company doing very well. And the firstborn is single, and so many men came her way, wanted to marry her, and she said no to most of these men. And I have some of my friend pastors who were interested in her and they wanted to marry her, and she said no to them. So one day I called her and I said, why is it that this and that of my friends, they are interested in you and you say no? And she said, Prophet, look, our last born is married to a medical doctor, and they have their own big hospital. My second born, my elder sister, the one who followed me, my backbone, is married to a politician, and they have their own microfinance. So why should me, the firstborn, why should me, the firstborn, married to a young man who is now struggling in ministry, who is now fighting his way through, like why should I do that? I'm the first. I need to marry to somebody who is bigger than the politician, who is bigger than the medical. I need to marry to somebody to prove that I am the firstborn. And hear me, she's almost 50, and she's still waiting to meet that big man, that great man, who cannot be compared to the medical doctor and the politician that the younger sisters got married to. And you see, most of the time, people like this found themselves at this place of expectation, that they wait in expectation till their last day on earth. Hear me, over expectation can destroy you. Over expectation can kill you. Shalom. There are people who are holding on so much to their high expectation that will never come to pass, and they are not ready to settle for anything less than their expectation. They are never ready to settle down for anything that is less than their high expectation. Hear me, sometimes from a bad job you get the opportunity to get a better job. There are people who started their life journey from the scratch, from washing of a plate in a restaurant, and as a result, their connection started from that place. There are people from a bad job, from a bad salary, at that same workplace, from that same job, they had the opportunity to get a better job. Hear me, it is very good to dream big, to have all this great expectation for your life, but sometimes master the art of knowing how to start very small. Many of you, God has placed it on your heart, or you have the leading to start a business, or to start a ministry, or to start a company, and you are expecting to have that huge capital so that you can start boom like that, and that huge capital is not coming, and yet you are there expecting a miracle to come one day for you to start big. Hear me, ask Amazon how it was started. Ask Facebook how it was started. Ask Bill Gates how he started. Ask these big top people, businessmen. They will tell you how they started from the scratch, how they started in a hopeless situation, and one way somehow the miracle comes their way. Hear me, it is good to dream big, to have a big expectation, to start big, but most of the time you must come to the place of having this wisdom, starting with what we have, starting with what you have, starting with what you have, starting with what you can start with is very, very important. There are people who are alive today holding on to a very big expectation, with this high expectation that one day the breakthrough will happen the way they expect it. Hear me, most of them will spend their life with that expectation that will never come to pass. They will spend their life, the whole of their life, expecting and expecting, and that expectation will never manifest. Hear me, one of the biggest cause of delay in the life of many people is over expectation. Over expectation. There are things you want to do, but your expectations are too high. You know, sometimes when I meet people and they talk about the things they want to do, You can tell that this person can never go far in life. This person can never go far in life. You know, I've met women who some of them share their experience with me, and most of the time you just feel like crying for them. Old women, they share some of their experience and you feel like crying for them. And some of them, I will say things like, you know, you are a young lady, you have cars, you have a good job, or you have your own business, you have money, you have your own house, you are very settled, you know, you are a well-accomplished woman. And most of them will say something like, I want a man who have more than what I have. I want a man who is more accomplished than me. I want a man who will not depend on me. I want a man who is more successful than me. And they spend the rest of their life waiting for that accomplished man who is more than them to come. And they ended up not meeting that person. They spend the rest of their life waiting for a man who has more than them. And at the end of the day, such a man never comes their way. And by the time they are very close to disappointment, and they begin to change their mind and say, okay, since I'm not getting a man who is more accomplished than me, I just want a man who will love me, a man who will just support me in my business, a man who will take care of me, a man who know how to treat a woman, a man with a good character, a man who loves the Lord, a man who fears the Lord. And by that time, they have lost many husband prospects. They have lost many prospect husbands. They have lost so many men they could have married to. And that time that they are very close to disappointment, that they are so frustrated, that they are so much depressed, that they are so much worried, that they are so much serious about getting married, that is the time they will begin to meet players. They will begin to meet men who are just coming to take advantage of them. They will begin to meet men who will just come and take advantage of their frustration. They will just meet men who will just come and play games, who will just come because of money, who will just come to take advantage of them in one way or the other. Over expectation. Over expectation. Many of you are at that place. As you are listening to me, you are at that place. You have set a very high standard for yourself that it is very difficult for you to achieve it. Yet you are not ready to settle for what you can afford. You are not ready to settle for who you truly are. Your biggest problem is over expectation.